Many are predicting that the worst is yet to come, which is unfortunate, said one person here. Until now, they've enjoyed the reputation of being the nation's icebox.
Watched a burglar in his home this morning by webcam.
As a journalist of over 25 years, stories are what make my world turn.
Reporting live from the Dallas newsroom tonight, Jeff Crilley, Fox 4 News.
But in 2008, I took the jump from my familiar life and started a PR firm from my home.
We're talking about anyone with a camcorder like the one I'm using becomes a television network.
We started slowly growing the company, and we now have over 100 clients, and we've branched into the world of live digital broadcasting. I now own 8 different TV studios and have a huge team, and the stories that I now get to share are sometimes the most important of my life. Life has a funny way of coming around full circle. This is the Jeff Crilley Show. Welcome to my show. On this show, we're going to be talking about overcoming obstacles, overcoming setbacks, and a guy who knows a little something about that, my good friend Scott Schilling. How are you doing, sir?
Doing great, Jeff. So
we're going to fist bump.
That's right, fist bump, social distancing.
Well, I love it. You wrote the book before the pandemic, but you couldn't have chosen a better name. That Sucks, What Now? Okay, tell us about the title.
Well, it really interesting. It actually started after a near-death experience, and I was researching living through something that most people don't. And I didn't like any of the answers. And I said, if somebody is going to also live through it like I have, they need better answers. So I started documenting the book. Well, I kind of got stuck. I don't know. I know when you've written books, you get to a point, and I was stuck on the title. And I was talking to a buddy of mine, and he said, what's the book about? And I told him about this and this and this and this. He goes, I never knew all that stuff happened to you. And I said, well, you don't wear all your butt kickings on your sleeve. You don't tell everybody about everything. He said, man, but you fought through. I've never noticed anything. What did you say to yourself after each of those incidents? And without thinking, I went, that sucks. What now?
Wow.
And I don't see that as a negative at all. I see it as a very positive. That sucks. I wish it wouldn't have happened this way. What now? No time for a pity party. Let's get after it. How do we fix it?
Well, I remember talking to you before about your near-death experience. What was that like? I mean, did you see the light? Is it like the movies where you feel like you're...
I had a full-blown cerebellar stroke. And if you understand the cerebellum at all, it controls speech, memory, fine motor skills, walking, talking, vertigo. By the grace of God, I got nothing. It went to the emergency room. They released me after 5 hours with a major migraine. The pain got so intense, I cried out, God, help. And I heard an audible, drop to your knees. And I dropped to my knees and I prayed. And after I prayed, I went to climb back into bed, and I climbed onto a cloud.
Wow.
Total peace, zero pain. I've never felt it before. I've never felt it since. Straight to sleep. It was just absolutely amazing, but I knew that I was saved by the hand of God. And while I didn't see the white light and some of the things that people report, there was this peace, because my prayer was, Lord, I've been teaching your plan and timing is perfect for the last couple of years now. I don't pretend to understand this plan or timing. I don't believe your plan is to call me home, and I don't believe your plan is to maim me or disable me. So I'm choosing to believe your plan is to wake me up. Duly noted. You got my attention. And that I'm supposed to use this event to serve and save myself and others physically and spiritually for the rest of my life. And I ask for your wisdom going forward that I implement that appropriately. And if that's not your will for my life, I just want you to know whatever you got for me, I'm good with.
Wow.
Climbed on the cloud. Amazing.
I've got to tell you that this is one of the most amazing speakers I've ever heard. You've been on stages all over the globe. How many millions of dollars in sales have you made?
25 to $30 million in sales, probably 2,500 live events or more, speaking to 1 million people live.
Wow. And so you had to pivot once again because all of the events got canceled. So your calendar all of a sudden freed up. So how did that sucks? What now? How did you deal with that?
Well, that's really part of what the book is about. It's about reinvention. everybody's going to come to that point that we're going to have to reinvent at some time, right? We're going to have to change. And what I realized is all of a sudden my messaging was different. I felt called to share a different message. It didn't mean that my skill set prior was all of a sudden gone, but I felt like I was saved for a different purpose. And so you start talking to different people, you start sharing the message differently, and you start to realize I started doing more writing and more blogging and more things like that. And when people would say, well, we want you to sell something for us, I felt like I was selling something, except it was for a bigger account, the big fella, and it was Kingdom.
Wow. Well, this is probably a little uncomfortable for you because you're usually the guy asking the questions. He's got a very popular TV series called Talking with Giants. You've done that for a number of years. Tell us about the series.
Well, the benefit of doing 2,500 live events is I've had the opportunity to share the stage with virtually every name you know. You may not know my name. That's okay. I had a different task during it all. But I got to know, I was very blessed to share the stage with Colin Powell and Susie Orman and Stephen Forbes and Tom Hopkins and Jack Canfield. And in fact, Jack wrote the foreword to my book. And so I had access. Bob Bodine that you just saw on the clip. Yes. Bob Bodine is an amazing guy that nobody knows.
The Power of Who, right?
The Power of Who, right? And everything that he's done. And so it just... The only thing that I've wanted to do with the talents and capabilities I've been granted is help other people grow in hope, in inspiration, and lift them up however. And if I have access to cool friends like you, that I can, in fact, now get in front of my friends or my audience, I feel an obligation, an invitation to do that.
When talking to all those giants, is there a commonality? Is there a theme that goes across people who are successful?
Absolutely. They all have a bent on generosity and on giving. My first book, Talking with Giants, actually kind of followed that theory that generosity builds prosperity. You don't prosper and give. You give and prosper. You don't give to prosper, but it's the natural byproduct. What you'll find is every high achiever has a desire to give back. They're grateful. They're appreciative. They want to thank others that gave them the hand up, not the hand out.
All right, what's next for you, Scott Schilling?
Boy, I wish I knew that. I keep on asking the boss every morning, and I say, your plan and timing is perfect. I really appreciate if you release the next month's plan for me. And he says, yeah, no. He just doesn't do that, right? So basically, in what's happened over the last little bit, I've become the Chief Visionary Officer for a new online startup called Be Connected, BEEKONNECTED, BeConnected.com.
Google it.
Google it. BeConnected.com. But what we are, you're going to love this, dating software for the business world.
Love it. Love it.
How do you put, in fact, the proper people with the proper customers? How do you find your ideal customer at a touch of a button? We started putting this together way before the pandemic, but it's amazing the solutions that we've been able to take to the marketplace already people are just like, oh, how did you know this was happening? We didn't. It's a God thing.
Wow. Okay, that's your camera right there. I want you to look into that camera and talk to the audience. If there's someone watching this right now, they're discouraged, they lost their job, they have to pivot, give them some words of encouragement.
Well, the reality is we all go through things throughout our lives. And the vast majority of time, we have zero understanding. I used to teach that God's plan and timing is perfect and that we rarely understand it. I don't teach it that way anymore. I'm going to encourage you that God's plan and timing is perfect and you can never understand it. So therefore, stop trying. Understand, and really the premise of That Sucks What Now is that all things work together for your good. It doesn't say all things are good, and it doesn't say all things will be easy. But what you sometimes have to do is go through the challenges to maybe test your mettle, to maybe find out who's really with you and who's not quite as much with you. The fact is, you're here for a reason. You wouldn't be here if there wasn't a really good reason. While that reason may have not been uncovered at this point, it will be shortly. Keep pressing forward. Know that you've been perfectly and uniquely built to do amazing things. You got this.
Wow, that's wonderful. You do have the heart of a preacher. And this comes from a preacher's kid. Okay, so the website, we're going to put it up. ScottSchillingOnline.com is the website. Please reach out to Scott for all of your speaking, coaching needs, and get a copy of his book. Thank you for coming on the show.
My pleasure. Thanks for the opportunity.
You bet. That's it from now. We'll see you next time.